Hello, friends, and welcome to Escaping the Mouse with your host, me, Breck Rowell. All right, happy Halloween. As you can tell, I got my voice back for the most part, and I'm going back to Silo of Screams tonight, and I'm probably going to blow my voice out again. So expect for another hoarse voice video tomorrow. But since this Silo of Screams thing has been such a big issue with me in the last week and a half, I figured I actually wanted to tell you the story about how that all came about. I've talked about it a little bit in live streams and in some of my previous videos, but I haven't really gone through the whole story. So I'm going to talk to you about that today because, like I said, it's been a big part of my life for the past week or week and a half. It all started a couple weeks ago. I believe it was the day I was coming back after picking up the flea treatment for the kitties. When I was driving home, I was waiting at a traffic light, and I happened to notice a billboard on a side street advertising the Silo of Screams. I really couldn't see it a whole lot because it was kind of off in the distance, but it said Silo of Screams, and it looked like it said it was in Temple, Texas. So I got home, I went searching for it on the internet, found it very, very quickly, and decided I was going to go out and see it. Now, it was only operating on Fridays and Saturdays at that point. So it was going to be a day or two, I think, before I was going to get to go. But I went that Friday. I had read online that sometimes it's really busy and there's long lines to get into the individual mazes. So I kind of decided, since the attraction ran from 8 to 11 on Friday night, that I was going to get there at about 7. So I left my place about 6 o'clock, allowing myself plenty of time to get up there. And turns out when I got there, I was the first one in line. Now, I was hoping that I was going to be able to vlog the inside of the mazes. But when I got there immediately, I saw there was a sign that said no photography and no videos inside the mazes. So I was a little disappointed by that, but you know what? I understood. And so I just decided I'd go through the mazes and then come out and tell you what I had seen. Now, before any of this happened, before people were starting to line up, there was nobody at the ticket booth. And I didn't even realize it was a ticket booth because it's just an old bus that they have out there. So I just kind of went into the area around where the mazes are, and there were some picnic tables in there, and I just kind of hung out and waited a little while for things to happen, for time to pass. Well, it turns out the guy who runs the place, a guy named John, saw me out there and reminded me, asked if I was an actor and in the maze, and I said, no, I'm just here to visit. And he says, okay, well, gotta go out and wait by the ticket booth. And then he said something that kind of caught my attention. He says, because if you don't do that, somebody's likely to put a cape on you or put a mask on you and put you in one of the mazes. And I said, well, I actually wouldn't be against doing such a thing. But we talked for a few minutes, and then I said, okay, well, I'll go out and wait by the ticket booth and come in a little later. So once they opened up the gates and let people in, I was literally the first person in line for the first maze that I went into, and came out and did all my videos, after each of the mazes, explaining what I'd seen, and I cut it all together and turned it into that Silo of Screams video you saw about a week and a half ago. And when the day that video went live, I decided that I was going to put the video on the Silo of Screams Facebook page just so they could see it and see what they thought. Well, almost immediately, I got a reply back through Messenger from John, the guy I talked to that night, saying, hey, if you're interested. Actually, he replied to the post in the comments section and said, if you're interested, send me a message through Facebook, and I'll explain how all that stuff happens, where we got all the technology, because I had questioned where like the poppers and stuff like that had come from. And he says, yeah, send me a message through Messenger and I'll tell you how that all works. And he sent me a web link to a website that does all the Halloween productions. He says it's a place that's kind of geared towards more professional haunted houses versus just like some of these, Halloween pop-up stores they do. This place is open all year round and all that stuff. So I went and looked at there and saw some of the great tech they have. I'm going to probably have to get some of that, unfortunately, at some point. And when I posted when I replied back to him, I said, you'd mentioned something about me actually coming down and doing, playing one of the parts in one of the haunted houses. And I said, I'd really love to do that if you'd like me to do it. And he said, yeah, sure, come on down. Be here about an hour before. And I actually think I might have you shoot some video for us, and we'll give you a little bit of money if you'll do that. So I came down and was there a little bit before 7, because when I'm going in, especially for a new job, I like to be there early. So I got there probably about 6:30, and started talking to John. Was already there, and I started talking to him. And he said, we've got a couple open spaces in one of the roles, including the dentist in the hospital maze, and asked if I'd like to do that. And I said, sure, that sounds like fun. So they took me into the maze and showed me that. And they put me in front of a makeup person so they could put that really gory, head wound gash stuff on my head. And I was in the maze. He also says that they had a new maze that they opened up this year that was called their fun house with all the clowns in it. And he asked me if I would like to go in and shoot a video of the interior of that. He said he just wanted kind of like, a little clip, something they could post online to show, the contents of the new maze. And so I went through there, and I basically just turned the camera on when I walked in. I just kept the camera rolling the whole time and just kind of pointed it at different things that were going on in there. And at the end of the day, I told him, yeah, I got 7 or 8 minutes of video. I'm going to go home and look at it. He wanted to pay me right then. I said, you know what? Hold off on paying me yet, because I'm not sure if I got anything usable. So let me see if I got some good content. I'll come back tomorrow. I'll show you what I have, if I got anything good, and then we can make a decision how we go from there. Well, I went home, was a little concerned that the video was going to be really dark, so I looked at it on the computer and found a few things that I thought, I could cut together and turn into a kind of an interesting video. But I was dissatisfied with one of the scenes I shot, because I kept getting in between one of the performers and the light source, and so I kept casting my shadow on the performer. So I cut the video together with that bad scene in it, and I brought it to John the next night and said, okay, yeah, I got this. I showed him what I had. I said I was a little dissatisfied with the first scene, because I kept casting a shadow on the performer, and I asked him if I could shoot that one little scene again. And he said, yeah, sure, that's not a problem. It turned out that the same performer was going to be in that same role again that night. And so I just said, okay, well, is it possible that I could go in to the maze before the maze opens, so that I could have just a couple minutes alone with the guy to reshoot that scene again? And he says, yeah, no problem. We'll open the maze for you. And at that point, I already had my makeup on for the second night, where they had a couple scars on here and I had blood all over my face. It was very, very cool. And so I went in while people were lining up. I went in and shot that scene. Went home the next day and cut it all together, and was much happier with that result. Now, he was already happy with what he had seen so far with the take I had with the one bad scene. So he actually paid me for the video that night, which was very cool. And so, I went home, and like I said, I edited that new scene in there, and removed the bad scene, and then gave it to him, sent it to him online. He took a look at it and says, that's fantastic. I really love it. If you want to, you could post it on your YouTube channel. And I said, oh, that'd be great, because I know my viewers would love to see it. And at that point, I decided, okay, well, since that one he paid for, the video belongs to him, I'm not going to make that one a monetized video, so there won't be any commercials on it. And so, since it's on a YouTube, it's a YouTube link, he can use the video all he wants. He can put it on his Facebook page, on his social media sites, and he could also embed the video onto his website. Now, he hasn't done that as of yet, but I suspect that will happen at some point. He knows that the video exists, and I'll probably end up talking to him about it tonight when I go back, because I'm definitely going back to do the Halloween version of it. Now, I know some of you know that I was thinking about doing some sort of a Halloween display here at the apartment. I've kind of decided against doing that, one, because I'm going to be going over and doing tonight's Silo of Screams, but two, it's also been raining here for the last couple days, and they're predicting it's going to be 32 degrees out tonight. So I would suspect there's probably not going to be a whole lot of trick-or-treaters. So that's kind of where we are on that. So like I said, we'll do Halloween next year. Hopefully I'll have a house by then. But tonight I'm going to definitely go by and do Silo of Screams. So if you get a chance, I'm actually going to post today's video a couple hours early, so that if you get a chance, you could actually watch this video, and if you want to, come down to Silo of Screams and check it out. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to be, or if I'll even be doing anything, because I've just been kind of a substitute person that gets put wherever they need me. I did dentist one night, and I was in the same maze the next night doing jump screams and stuff like that, where I jump out and shout boo at people. And I actually kind of did two rolls that second night, because there was one roll right next to the exit, where John said, a lot of people don't like doing that one because you don't get a lot of scares there, because basically you're just sitting there with a big giant meat hook digging at this rubber cadaver, pulling bits and pieces out of it. And a lot of people said they just don't have as much fun there. So he doesn't like to put one person in that role the whole night. So I kind of switched back and forth between those two roles. Now, I actually came up with a little bit of a routine that actually did get my fair share of screams out of that. So I actually did have fun doing both roles that night. And so, whatever. I don't know if I'll be in the same maze or in another maze. He said the second night I might have been in the insane asylum also, which would have been fun. But I ended up in the hospital maze again. So who knows? I could be anywhere. I might be taking tickets or doing something like that, or I don't know. We'll see. But if you get a chance, come on out and check it out. If I'm in costume, I'll pose for you with photos, and it'd be fun to meet you. So anyway, that's kind of my Silo of Screams story. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time on Escaping the Mouse. Good night.